everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're discussing one of DC Comics' greatest series, Batman the Animated Series, or BTAS.
The series started the trend of amazing action cartoons for DC Comics, which showed how far ahead of its time it was. Running for 4 seasons and a mini crossover series with Superman, Batman the Animated Series shows the Caped Crusaders' daily battles with criminals in Gotham City, as well as some mini-story arcs for several characters. And it was animated by animation superhero Bruce Timm.
Right. I thought that was really great because we pretty much have what's called the Timmverse now, because a lot of the animated series they've done that he's been behind have been really successful, and it all ties in because at some point you see characters from one show and one another, like Justice League, Static, Teen Titans. A lot of them they all connect.
And he's got just this distinct style. As soon as you see the character, you know it's Bruce Timm. No one has to tell you. You know by his style it is. And I love the way that he draws characters, whether it's villains or heroes. I just love his animation style. I am truly a Bruce Timm mega fan.
And you could say he was like the precursor for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Absolutely. Because he had his, like I said, the Timmverse, because all these heroes could live in one place. As long as he designed it, it was canon. Right. Like that's why Batman Beyond, Static Shocks, Justice League, Teen Titans, and some other show were all connected.
Right, exactly. Well, this series was very, very interesting in itself because it took place in a time period that wasn't made distinct for you, but you could see, just like the Gotham Live series, it has elements from different decades. You see 40s, you see 50s, you see 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, all mixed up in the same show. But there tended to be more, I would say, of a 40s feel to it. Yeah. In most of the episodes. You had different Robins that appeared. Yeah. You had Nightwing appear. It was just really fun. So tell us more about this awesome animated series.
Okay. So it was just, of course, the basic thing of Batman protecting Gotham. And what was interesting about this one, you got to see the backstories for a lot of the characters, how they became the villains within the show, way before the live-action Gotham series. Like you saw the Penguin, how he became the Penguin, a little bit of the Joker, you saw Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, the Mad Hatter, who was relatively new. They even had Killer Croc, and one villain I had never heard of till the show, one called, remember Baby Doll? Yes. That was one of the strangest villains I've seen. I had never seen a villain like that, not even for DC or Marvel or anybody. It's like, and it was really interesting how they played out. You would think it would be a bit of a joke, like a joke villain, but they took it really seriously in a real condition. It was like really well done.
Right. So I think what made this very interesting, besides it being like this kind of noir feel to it, is the detailed storylines in such a short period of time. You got just this wealth of information, like you said, so much backstory. And you weren't wondering, when you finished watching each episode, you weren't wondering, you didn't have questions. Everything you could think of was answered. And they were not sequitur. They were not, they weren't sequential. You would have this storyline, and the next one would jump to something else, and the next one would be a whole different arc, and then you may go for that arc 2 or 3 episodes, then it jump back to something else. So it was odd in the way that it was presented.
Right. And of course you had Catwoman, who was in there, for a little bit. And I do remember one thing people were really confused about was the animation change, like when it got to the last season. When it was the first 3, it was really detailed, looked like a comic. Everyone had their own style. But then they got to 4th season, which was the last one, and then they got the new Batman Adventures, and everything they kind of described it as like really pointy. I mean, they had pointed ears, pointed chin. They had a red night sky, which worries me. It was really different in how it was drawn. I guess it was a different artist, and it didn't feel as much of a detail as it was before. It was really strange. I mean, you were still fine with the story, but you could tell there was a difference with that season, not just in design but in storytelling, because like you said, we also have Robin, who became Nightwing. Then you had a new Robin, Tim Drake. You have Batgirl now. More villains were getting screen time. Superman was doing crossovers, and more intense villains. And there was one episode I remember that a lot of people really liked. There was this one where I can't reveal everything, but Batman was being hunted by Commissioner Gordon. Somehow they figured out he was Bruce Wayne, and they were attacking the Batcave. They were arresting all his friends, and they were constantly on the run because something happened to Barbara, and they thought it was his fault, and he was considered a killer, and he was being hunted all around the city, and it was like a constant, it was like the chase from Avatar, where it was just, like, it was constantly escalating, you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and that's like the craziest and most memorable episodes of the show.
Well, speaking of Barbara, to me, this is the animated series where she had the most input and the most appearances. I mean, she really had a lot of appearances in this particular series. They were devoted to her storyline and her character.
Right.
That being one. So it was pretty neat seeing that, because you think about all the other series, she never was a focal point. She was kind of like
the
a radius character, right? She was just on the outside.
Right.
She would make an appearance, she would leave. But in here, really, her character was developed. You learn more about how she thought, how she became Batgirl, why she stayed Batgirl, and it was more cerebral. That's the word I'm looking for. You found out that she was a more cerebral character, as she is in the comic books. Because as you know, when she gets injured, she becomes Oracle later on in the comics, and you find out she's just this incredibly brilliant woman.
Right.
But they pointed to that in this series, which really made it great.
And let's see, any other episodes? Were there any standout episodes for you?
There are so many episodes, and they're so different and non-sequitur, non-sequential. The ones with Poison Ivy. When she first turned, when she was using her plants and her power to influence everyone and get her way. Those are really interesting because, again, this was the first time in any animated series where yet another female character had a lot of episodes devoted to her. It was at least 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, she almost had a little bit of an arc going on that wasn't, really in your face.
And you found out just how, she was into these plants, how much she preferred the plants over humans, how he tried to help her, how he really didn't want to give up on her, not going over the edge. And again, that was really, really great because you've never seen that prior to this live action Gotham. You've never seen that much attention paid to her character in any animated series. So I really like the ones with her arc. I really like the ones with Batgirl's arc. Nightwing's arc, I felt cheated because he really didn't have much of an appearance in the series. We were expecting this real big Nightwing, Dick Grayson arc, and we didn't get it, and I was disappointed.
Well, they've been trying to give Nightwing a series for years. For some reason, someone at DC just doesn't want to do it, because so many people have offered to do one, either as the Grayson or as Nightwing. So many people have offered to do a series specifically for him, but I don't know why. DC just doesn't really want to do it. Even the Titans show with him in it, he's going to be Robin, then Nightwing, but he's still like an adult, so I don't know how that works out. But I don't know. I'm trying.
So what are your favorite episodes you remember?
Well, besides the one I told you with the Batman being hunted, which reminds me, of course, Teen Titans and another show. There was one where they had focused on the Penguin, and this woman, it was kind of like that movie Dinner for Schmucks, where she kind of took advantage of him, and he didn't know. She was being nice to him so she could get into this thing for a party. And he was actually falling for her, and he stopped committing crimes, and he said he was going to turn over a new leaf. And you were thinking, oh, he's going to turn. And he actually meant it, and even Batman was surprised. Like, he hasn't committed a crime ever since he's been with. He hasn't stolen for her or anything. He has started donating to charities and being nicer to people because people were really mean to him because of his looks. And he actually had genuinely changed. He was gonna propose, and she was actually starting to feel sorry because she knew what was coming, and she tried to stop it, but it was like almost Carrie. It was like Carrie style betrayal, and he just lost it again.
That was a really good episode.
Because you were thinking all this, oh, he's gonna change again. He's gonna change again, and you're like, no, he was really serious about it. And there were actually a few times where some villains attempted to be citizens or attempted to reform. Even Harley Quinn tried, but everyone gave her such a hard time. When she was already fragile, she just said, I tried to do it, and they won't even give me a chance, so she just went back to being a villain. But a lot of these villains generally tried to be citizens or be good. I think only one succeeded. I think, what was the guy with the puppet? Scarface.
Yes.
The guy who had Scarface. His other personality was in the puppet. He couldn't, control it.
Right.
And I think he was the only one that actually was able to remain good and get rid of the evil side.
Right. I think this series really presented the tragic side more of all these villains, because they have you being empathetic toward them and kind of seeing how they ended up in the life of crime that they did. You saw Batman attempting to, as he always has done in many different incarnations, to rehabilitate them. And he really, really tried. And he didn't give up on them until he just really saw, it's over, it's done, there's no hope. Mm-hmm. And he had to treat them like the villains they were. But this series was really, really, really good.
And we see why it's really memorable. I mean, I see people still use mashups and they go back to that series, right, because they just like the characters. They like how they're designing stuff. The only redesign we kind of didn't like when they had the season 4 was like the Joker. He just looked really creepy. He didn't look like the Joker. He looked just strange. And a lot of people said, why did you bother changing his design? He looked like the Joker.
Right.
Now, speaking of Joker, I think we should also mention the voice cast.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, of course, Kevin Conroy, mm-hmm, as Batman, and he's forever Batman.
Absolutely.
They had Mark Hamill as the Joker. Mm-hmm. They had quite a few guest stars on here, too, when they were voicing villains. Didn't they have William Shatner on there at one point? They had
and
just
this was
so
the
many.
Series, I forgot. Is this the series that had the Grey Ghost?
Yes.
Yes, the Grey Ghost. That was really one interesting arc. And I remember at first, I didn't know anything about the Grey Ghost. And this was a great shout out to Adam West.
Yes.
I mean, how awesome was this?
Yes. Okay, I gotta explain this one. They had one where this was like Batman's version of Batman. Grey Ghost was partially inspiration for Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. And the actor that played him, voiced by Adam West, was getting into different roles, but they didn't want him to play Grey Ghost anymore, or they're saying he was starting to lose his edge, and they didn't have him in a lot of work, so he wasn't playing a goofy, crazy, out-of-touch hero that thought he was a superhero like Catman, right, and Captain Super Captain. He was given a serious role, and like all he'll ever be known as Grey Ghost, and he was thinking that was an insult to
right,
his acting, until, Batman inadvertently saved him, mm-hmm, and he recognized him, and he showed him this room where he had this little room dedicated, yes, to the Grey Ghost, and he said, "You were part of my inspiration for becoming who I am today." And when he realized that he inspired Batman,
right,
he did not see the role as something, lower than him or
right,
a waste of time. Even Batman got Adam West's autograph. Yes. He actually went to his signing and he got his autograph. And it was like Batman loves Adam West, Batman. Like, that was just fantastic.
Yes. There was some really incredibly great writing for this series. And it stands out. There has been another series like it. And it stands out so much that I can't remember the name of it, but I think it's BTAS on Twitter. And every day they post accolades for BTAS and different scenes, and they talk about different characters, mm-hmm, every single day. So still, after all these years it's being off, right, it's still well loved. So
yeah, like another show we know. And I just realized that BTAS switched 2 letters around as Bats.
Right.
If they had just Batman animated the series or something, right, then you got Bats. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Now, final thing, we want to mention some movies they had after the show. Of course, we already mentioned Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. There is Mystery of the Batwoman, Sub-Zero. I think, was it Gotham Knight? No, Gotham Knight was a little later. No, that's way later. Okay. They had some movies after, the show, okay, went off. And there are probably a few others. If you want to mention some more in the comments, go ahead, because Batman's had quite a few movies, right, whether they're from a series or not. And that's it.
But this was well-deserving of awards in animation and script writing and so forth. We just thank you, DC, for having given us this, because it's still well-loved, and it still stands out as an outstanding animated series. Yeah. So, thanks for listening.
I'm Aska Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
Rivers and streams. What Sucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket. Give it to you later on in the form of a locket.